Hello everyone, Dr. Victoria Skirbo here, speaking to you from the Seed to Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. A mere 15 minutes from Cape Cod. That's not really my new thing. That's just I added that for a September sort of vibe. The fall is my favorite time on the Cape. Less people. Usually nice weather, although, you do lose light. But if you get started early, it's nice. And the fall has always been my favorite season anyway, probably because I can't stand the heat. And today we had two semi-lovely days, and now it's hot as Hades out there and humid. And this girl ain't happy. This crab is not happy. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the Tarot-scope for September for the crabs out there. Yes, Cancer the crab. So let's take a look and see. Of course, we'll look at the astrology first, just a little bit of astrology. Of course, Cancer is ruled by the moon, so the moon is the most quickly changing of the planetary bodies, or satellites in the case of the moon, luminaries that we look at. So Cancers are always sort of waxing and waning and feeling this way and feeling that way and trying to access, what's going on, So if you have any Cancers in your life right now and you can't get a hold of them, and this is for you, my friends, who I love very dearly, and I love my friends, but they cannot get a hold of me right now because Cancers are hiding out in their shell. And a lot of it has to do with just the huge amount of emotionality out there. So if you find yourself as a Cancer, or any water sign, or actually any sign at all, but especially the water signs, give yourself the space that you need. Give yourself the space that you need. There are plenty of earth signs out there, filling in the spaces. So we can take a little break. So we do have a new moon on the 6th. And that new moon, if you have Cancer in your chart, or if you're Cancer sun, Cancer moon, Cancer rising especially, when I do the astrology, probably the most accurate part of the astrology reading, at least in this little bit of a thing that I do with astrology, is going to be your ascendant. Because when we look at full moons and new moons, we look to see what houses they would fall in if you had the ascendant of whatever sign we're talking about, in this case Cancer. So the new moon in Virgo for Cancer is falling in Cancer's third house. Okay, third house. And so the third house is your neighborhood, right? It's your neighborhood. It's also the house of conversation and talking and communication. It's also the house of siblings. And so you might find yourselves perhaps starting a new relationship with your sibling, or just sort of doing some problem solving with a sibling, because we are talking about a new moon in Virgo. And Virgo loves to do anything, it's problem solve. And boy, do we have problems, don't we? So there's that. And then we also have the full moon in Pisces, which activates the 9th house, and the 3rd house, the sun in Virgo. And that's occurring on the 20th. Now, both the new moon and the full moon have powerful trines associated with it. The new moon has a trine between Mars and Pluto. That trine is a trine of understanding. It goes all the way back to March, the end of March 2020. Just to remind you guys, that's when we went into lockdown, here in the States anyway. So that's when the seed was planted. It was the 23rd of March 2020. And now we've come to the point where we are reaping the rewards of that conjunction. So I guess it depends on what you did back then as to how well you're doing right now. But Mars and Pluto are a special relationship because Pluto is our unconscious desires and Mars is our conscious desires. And the synodic cycle between Mars and Pluto does make the evolutionary journey that we're all going on together a very personal one. A very personal one. We also have a trine between Venus and Jupiter. That's a very lucky trine. Venus is in Libra, the sign of Venus, one of the signs that Venus rules. So Venus is very powerful in Libra. And then, of course, Jupiter is in Aquarius. And so that's a helpful trine as well. It's a trine of understanding. And it's a trine that will foster a relationship for us to work together for the common good. So that's a nice one to have in that, for that new moon in Virgo, because you know the new moon in Virgo is going to roll up its sleeves and do what it needs to do, right? And we also have a trine between the sun moon in Virgo and Uranus. And this is actually a creative self-expressive trine. This has the energy of Leo. So it's a little bit more egocentric, a little less concerned with perhaps the collective, and more concerned with their own ability to express themselves. So we will see that as well. So there will still be plenty of people saying, it's my right to do whatever the hell I want. So, you know, and you know, I guess you can do what you want, but you can't expect not to have consequences. And then the full moon trine is one between Mercury and Jupiter. And that's an important trine because Mercury is the ruler of the north node of the moon right now, and Jupiter is the ruler of the south node of the moon. So it activates those nodes. So both of these new moon, full moons really sort of bump up the evolutionary energy. All right. And I think, oh, and we have a Mercury retrograde at the end of the month, 27th, Mercury's retrograde. And it actually goes into a shadow right around the new moon, but I think on the 7th, either the 7th or late on the 6th. So we have a couple of days where we're not in Mercury retrograde or in the shadow of Mercury retrograde, but we're also starting the month with an opposition between Mars and Neptune. So while there may not be an actual Mercury retrograde, things can still be confusing. So let's take a look at what the cards have to say for Cancer this month. Okay, so we have the Fool card. So right up front, we are doing something we haven't done before. This is about taking a leap of faith. You know, what's that expression? For those who know, fate supports, and for those who don't go, fate pushes, or something like that. One way or the other. So what I'm really trying to say, guys, is one way or the other, we're on a new path. And I really think that this path is almost less personal and more evolutionary. But of course, that becomes very personal when your whole world gets turned upside down. So, new beginnings for Cancer. What's the challenge here? The 10 of discs. In this deck, it's called the Great View, and so this can be two things. You know, going in a whole new direction can put a lot of pressure on your family's financial situation, so that you may be feeling that as a Cancer. But if we take this card as it comes in this deck, the challenge is you're taking this leap, but you don't know what you're leaping into. You know, Cancers like to feel secure, right? So this is not an easy thing. So it's hard to get a full view of what you're doing. It's like you're leaping. I guess as you leap off the cliff, you can look around and say, oh, I see the big picture. But then gravity takes over, and then a whole nother thing could happen. So, but really the challenge for Cancer is there's really no guarantees as to when you take that leap where you're going to land, right? At the root here, we have the Lover's card. This is a Gemini card, but it's a card of choice. it's a card of choice. If you have been sitting around and having a difficult time to choose what to do, and I'm a Cancer, so I totally get this. The way ahead is through following your heart. Following your heart. This card, the Lover's card, sits on the path in the tree of life that connects your third eye to your heart. And so it has to do with your vision and what's in your heart. And so following the vision of your heart, the heart of your vision, is sort of the way that that even though you can't see the end of the road, or perhaps in some cases the road that you're going to be taking, know that if you are true to your heart, it will be the right road for you. In the past, we have the mapping of the mind. This is called the Healer of Swords. This is all that therapy you went through, guys. And this is the therapy that you either went through with a therapist or a best friend at your kitchen table drinking tea or martinis, depending on who your friends are, I guess. But this is, Cancer feels very deeply, and they feel a lot, but they don't always know what they're feeling. So it takes time to really sort of figure it out. It's one thing you feel it in your body and feel it in your feelings, and then it's a whole nother thing to like use your mind to discern what all that means. And so a lot of Cancers spend a lot of time in their heads trying to figure out why they feel the way they feel. But that's good because it gives us an idea of just how our mind works, right? In the sky, we have the Devil. This is fear. There's a lot of fear here. This card speaks of separation from source. The Devil card in this deck speaks of anything that keeps you from the light, anything that keeps you from the light of your own heart, anything that keeps you tied to your lower nature, whether it's greed or whether it's lust or whether it's addiction. We need our physical body, so we need to take care of our physical body. But a physical body without connection to the higher realms is trouble. So there's a lot of reasons to be fearful. We have to jump anyway. We have to take the leap anyway. And in the immediate future, we have the Strength card. This says that with balance, and we have a lot of strength. We have a lot of inner strength. And we will be fine. We will be able to do this. I want you to know. So do not fret, even though it's going to look pretty scary. How it's seen from the outside, the Six of Swords. This is planning your journey, right? This is planning your trip. This is organizing your mind in such a way and being a little bit detached from it. This card is actually associated with Aquarius in the system that I use, the Six of Swords. It is the second decan of Aquarius, actually. Jupiter is in Aquarius now. Saturn is in Aquarius. And so I think people will see your choices as well thought out. Your domestic situation, the Healer of Cups, healing the inner child. This is really what Cancer is all about. The healing of the child within, the nurturing of the child. And so self-care for Cancer is very, very important at this time. A lot of times Cancer takes care of everything in the home, right? They're kind of homebody-ish in their ways. But, and that's important too. It's important to have a home that you feel comfortable in and that you feel secure in. But you have to make sure that you're paying attention to yourself even more than you're paying attention to your home, which makes me feel good because I got a whole lot of housework I got to do, and I don't feel like doing it because it's too damn hot. Hopes and fears, grace, receiving grace. We're hoping that, because we're not sure we're strong enough, although I will tell you we are strong enough, we're hoping for divine intervention, and it will come. And there it is, the High Priestess. This is the card associated with the moon, which is the ruler of Cancer. Feminine mysteries, intuitive wisdom. This is the powerful feminine principle. Do not fear. We will succeed in whatever it is that we endeavor to do, as long as we're following our heart. That's what these cards are saying to me. And underneath it all, we have the Empress, the goddess herself, with belly full of baby. Belly full of baby. Everything's going to be okay, Cancer, but I will tell you it's scary out there. And there are reasons to be careful, but you don't want the fear to overtake you. You can do it. You can do it. And even if you don't think you can do it, and you just say, I'm not doing it, fate will push you. So you might as well go willingly. Okay, let's see what... let's see what the... oh, where are they? I lost them. Oh, they're there. Spirit of the Wheel says for Cancer for the month of September. Cancer for the month of September. Just give it 3 quick shuffies here. Yeah, the heat is one thing, but the humidity is just, as you can see from my hairdo, it's just awful. Just freaking awful. Okay, Cancer. Growth. Spiritual path of the South. Opportunity, acceptance, and gateway. Well, we have 3 horses here. Horses are symbols of power. Horsepower, right? Where would we be without the horse? Okay, where is the book? I will hold it up as I read it, so you have something to look at while I squint my way through this book. Okay. Just hold that up. These cards are so beautiful. Let me see if I can hold it up and you can actually see it. Actually, I can't see because I took my glasses off. Yeah, I guess that's good. Okay, let's see here. Off with the glasses. Standing at the gateway to a new cycle within your life. The Fool card as the first card, by the way. You are frozen by the fear of what lies ahead. Didn't I just say that? In the past, you have dealt with some of your fears and began the process of recognizing your own self-worth. Now a great opportunity for new beginnings awaits you. Bring unity back into your life so you can move beyond your fears and focus on your future goals. You have reached a truly significant stage in your life. Prepare yourself by nurturing the growth occurring within you. Start by forgiving yourself and understanding that all our experiences make us grow stronger. Growth is about taking responsibility for your life and moving beyond your fears and limitations to the greater sense of self. Accept our innate abilities, our potentials as gifts from Great Spirit. It helps us realize that our fears are really only attachments of our ego, not our true self. We then begin to use our talents to be of greater service to the world. Wow. That's exactly what the card said. All right, let's pull a Crystal Ally card. The Crystal Ally cards, as I've said in my other readings, is a deck that was developed by a woman named Naisha Ashian. I have it. I'll put it in the descriptor, so you don't have to try to spell that on your own. She's actually changed her name to Samaya Aster. But if you want to get the book and the cards, it's under her old name. I mean, maybe the next version will have her new name. I don't know. But this is the evolution edition of her cards. She had her first deck, which I've had for years and years and years. The cards were a lot bigger. They were a lot harder to handle. the information is great, though. In this deck, she has a few more cards. And the deck is organized by elements. So we have air, which is the mental, water, which is the emotional, fire, which is the creative, earth, which is the practical, and then storm, which is transformation. So all of these cards is going to be one of those. So that's significant as well. So let's see what we have here for Cancer. Oops. Agrinine. Aegirine. Integration. Integration. And I believe this is a fire card. So for the water sign Cancer, we get a fire card. So this is going to be about creativity. So let's take a look and see what it says. I'm going to actually use the table of contents, which I rarely do. It's just a lot easier to find. I'm a flipper. What can I tell you? I like to flip through the book. The chakras are all the chakras, and your affirmation is, I integrate my experience so that I might find wisdom. It is time to stop, drop, and integrate. You've been taking in a lot of energies, experiences, and information that need to integrate if you are to gain clarity of mind, body, and spirit. Until you have sorted out your recent experiences and cleared the information and energy that are not applicable or useful to you, you will be unable to gain the wisdom you need to move forward. Create a mini retreat so that you can disengage from as many sources of stimulation as possible. Turn off the internet and cell phone. Get quiet and contemplate what you have recently experienced. What have you learned from it? Have you applied what you have learned? Or have you been like a hungry caterpillar, consuming information without acting upon it? Don't read another book, take another course or workshop, or listen to another podcast until you have taken some time to sort what you've already consumed. Or Agrinine, is encouraging you to unplug and process so that you can clear the debris from your mind, heart, and aura. Once you have integrated, you have a greater sense of surety about your path forward. Talked a little bit about that with the self-care. You know, shutting things down. Just shut it all down. Take the time that you need, Cancer. Take the time that you need. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. Like and subscribe. And be brave, Cancer. Am I talking to myself? Yes. Yes. All right, guys. Much love. Namaste. Have a great September.